way off, but at least you can hear me. All right. So as I was saying in the last one, which nobody could hear, um, I I finally finished those frozen puppets. Those two back-to-back reindeer just about killed me. It was nine weeks of fur everywhere. Anyway, I finally cleaned up my apartment and am done with them, so I'm not going to worry about that anymore. The next thing I'm building is I'm building a replica of Gonzo. Actually, I'm building two of them. I'm going to build one for myself, which is probably the one you'll see, and then I'm building another one for a client who actually has one of the Terry Angus Gonzos, and I was able to take measurements and things off of that as a starting point. Now, I'm probably not going to build it the way everybody else builds it, because really I just want to make sure that the iMech is reliable. So that's where I'm going to start, is trying to figure out this eye mechanism. And I'll show you what I have to work with here. This is a tracing of the Terry Angus head, and you can see this is where the mech for the your hand would go in there like that, and this would be where the mech for the eyes would be. So I'm going to use that as my kind of starting point. The other thing I have is this is his upper mouth plate, and this is how big it is, and it bends down like this. So I'm going to start here, and the other notes that I have are, this is a tracing of his hand and his foot, his hand and his foot, and then the size of his eyes, and then this is where these are the size of his body and the neck hole, and that's basically all the notes that I have. But we're going to start We're going to start with the mouth plate. So, and like I said, there was a bend in the mouth plate on the one that he had, the Terry Angus one. So I'm going to use that as a starting point too. I have so many. This is an old sketchbook, so you see a lot of my other projects I worked on in here too. If I can find my, there we go. So this part is the mouth plate and the upper mouth plate here. And then there's a little part of it here that isn't the mouth plate. So, okay, now I can hear you. Okay, so Cassidy, what I was telling you before in the other feed was I looked at the IMDb for the new Muppet special that Seth Rogen is making, or is made, and Dr. Phil Van Neuter is a character in it. So apparently he's going to get another go at it, which is exciting for you. Now, also on the Gonzo that he had, there was no lower mouth plate. There was just the upper. And actually, I need to true this up before I go any farther. Actually, I'm not going to make it out of this. I'm going to make it a cardboard now. Anyway, I thought you'd be excited about that. I saw that Brian Henson was in there, and then I looked up what he was playing, and it turned out to be Dr. Phil. All right, so there's... So I want to make this symmetrical, since I actually do know that it's the right size. And like I said, the lower, I think there was about an inch there. So the lower mouth plate was was just foam. It might have had a little bit of a leather backing on it to keep it and keep it from falling apart, but it was basically just foam. And then the top seemed like it was it seemed like it was like a plastic of some kind. So that's what I'm going to do for this one. This mouth is so small. It may not be that big. Of course, I lost my little notcher. Where was there been the last time I used it? It might be in the other room. Just a second. I have no idea where that little notch thing is. I mean, it'll show up, but... How strange. Okay, well. Well, I swear I thought I was ready to do this. I'll just blame the power outage on my not finding. Oh, there it is. Found it. Okay. I'll blame the power outage for not being able to find my tools. Say, so this is what it felt like. Let me make one so that. So I do have a block of foam. I got 2 blocks of foam for this project. I'm only going to be sculpting the nose. Everything else I'm going to, I think, flat pattern, because I don't want to have to deal with making an exact. Yeah, so that's what it felt like. And I think your hand goes in there like that. Let me just make a second one of these. And usually when I'm doing replicas, especially if I can find a reference that I can get a size off of, or like, let's say I know a real world item that I can use to size the rest of it, I'll start there. If I were, one of these days, I'm going to do it, but if I were building a scooter, I know the basic shape of his mouth plate, because you can see that when he pops his head back, and his upper and lower lips or mouth plates are the same size. So I would start with a mouth plate on that and then build up from there and guesstimate the rest of the sizes for that. Okay, this is just a really makeshift mouth plate that I'm making here. I probably should leave a gap. It's the same shape as basically a Kermit's, which is interesting. And I'm not really 100% sure what I'm doing, so this may or may not work, but it's a place to start. And oftentimes I find that it's better to start than to just obsess over not knowing how to do something. And if it's not 100%, who cares? Well, the client cares. I don't care as much. I'm happy if it's about 90%. Okay, so that's basically the mouth plate. And I know that he works it with his little finger. So inside the mouth plate, you'd be doing this. So my idea is idea, if I can find it. No. Just a second. I thought I was more prepared than I actually am. I'm just destroying everything back here. Okay, so I'm gonna need something above the eyes to make this thing work. So I have this tubing, which is just probably not the right size tubing. I have some other stuff. Let me see if I can find it. I'm using very makeshift things right now. This is not the wire I'm going to use. These are not the eyes I'm going to use. So I have these giant ping pong balls, which I think I'm going to use as temporary eyes right now. And I want to see if this will actually fit in there. Sorry, I know you guys aren't being able to see anything. I know I have some bigger tubing here someplace. But if this works, I can just use it for now. But it just barely fits. That might work just for this. Okay, so what my idea is, where this bend is, I want to epoxy in on the real one a piece of tubing here. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm not going to epoxy it. I'm just going to tape it. I work very, I guess, conceptually at this stage. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just kind of figuring it out. Okay. Those are pretty close to size. I think Gonzo's eyes are 50 millimeters. Yeah, that's, I've heard 45 to 50, which these jumbo ping pong balls might be, I don't think that's what I'm going to use, but if I get stuck, it might be. I was actually thinking what I will use on the actual one is my favorite thing, since building Zoidberg, are these tops off of light bulbs, which that's pretty close to the right same size, and is a much tougher plastic. So I might use these on it if I can find two of the same size, but for now, I'm just going to use the ping pong ball. And I think I'm going to need to have some sort of, I don't know, strapping or something in there to keep the eyes in place. These are some peepers I made for a class. And it's going to give its life for this mock-up. Okay, so let me get a piece of wire, which I'm going to use welding wire when I do the final one because it's going to be a little bit more rigid, but I don't want to have to deal with bending a piece that I'm just going to throw away anyway. So I'm going to straighten this guy out. My Gonzo will probably, I mean, the objective of this right now, because everything else I can figure out later, is making the mechanism actually be reliable and work. Because I have yet to see a replica that actually has an eyebrow mechanism that works. That it's not like totally over-engineered, not like some servo in there. As far as I know, it's a very simple mechanism. I'm just trying to get this as straight as I can. I probably don't need this much. Let's see if I can get it through this. If I don't kill myself on it. There you go. You know what? Maybe I will. Let me see if it'll fit. Just looking for a length of this stuff that is about will work. I think that one might work. Here we go. If it fits inside the hole in the tubing. I have some thicker diameter stuff here someplace. I actually used it on Ralph. In fact, it might be in the Ralph. Nope. Everything else is. I may have used it all up when I made Ralph. If not, it's just the plastistruct tubing. Okay. Are you making a finger-based mech or cable-controlled? Finger. Yep, and that's too wide. Rats. Okay, let me see if I can find the correct stuff. I should have gotten all this really. I should have gotten this all ready before I started. Here we go. This place is a disaster area right now. Okay. So this is actually what I used in the cable-based. This is the trigger for one of the puppets, I think for the Tilly puppet. So I'm going to take it apart to use the tubing off of it. Okay, here's the tubing. Throw the rest of it in there. Okay. Again, I'm just trying to figure this out. I'm anticipating somebody writing that I should not use cardboard for my mouth plate, which I know. Okay. And then the final one, this will all be plastic, and this will be epoxied in place. I want that right on the bend. And I kind of know how the real one is set up, but I cannot wrap my mind around how in the world it works. I probably shouldn't cut that at an angle. All right. So here's what we got right now. This is the tube that's in there. That's the bend. That'll be the lower jaw. Now I want to put in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve this part up. This will be the eyeball. Now I can't figure out. Here's what I get stuck on. Okay, so the eye is on there like that or thereabouts. So where does the hand? I guess the hand is below it. Okay. So that would go in there like that. I'm going to go over that little thing to bend it. See what we got here. Okay. His eye mech is a mystery to me. How they open on different axes has me stumped, especially with how small his head is. Believe Dave Gold built the mech as well as Gonzo himself for season 2. Yeah, I've heard that. That's what I hear too. And I've heard it described to me how it's done. But again, I put my hand up inside that one that Terry Angus had made. Okay, so my idea is, so this will go, this piece will go up and curved over the eye, like so. And this side will come down into a little trigger that I could work with my pinky and then loop back around to become the other eyelid. So let me make that trigger. Okay, let me take this over. I'm going to mark it about where it needs to be. I'm going to go bend it. And again, this may not work. I've just been obsessing over it for literally years. Okay, so I have a little clamp thing to my other workbench that I'm able to bend wire really easily. Doesn't always get me exactly where I want to be, but it'll get me started. Okay, so now when this is in here and that's bent, I almost think this side needs to be a little smaller. So that's his eye, and that's his other eye. So these are not going to be long enough the way it is. All right. I mean, that's the mechanism. That's basically the motion we're getting. We want. If you think the head space was too tight for a finger trigger, I think there's no finger trigger. This is it. You can see, and I can tell you already. So that's where the relaxed position is, and then so that's the whole trigger right there. Besides, I got super tiny hands. I got to use these super tiny hands as a benefit for once in my life. Okay, so now, again, this should have been, I think I'm going to need this much on this side, but now I know that. And there has to be some sort of hard shell up here to keep those eyes in place. This might be hard for you guys to follow. I'm barely following it myself. But I do like that. And once I have the mock-up done, I can take it apart and I can make the final. You should have everything except for the nose. Okay, I'm just kind of trying to figure this out. Okay, let me figure out what I'm going to do for the... Okay, so I have some styrene here. And like I said, I think it needs to have a... So here's what I think I'm going to do for his upper of his head. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make... This will be this part of the mouth plate here. And I think on the final one, it's all going to be one piece. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a basically a bracket out of styrene that I'll bend into position that will basically glue to this part that the eyes can rest on. Actually, it wouldn't be there. It would be here. So let me think about this. Yeah, it needs something right here to act as a stop for these eyes so they'll stay in place. So let me make that real quick. It doesn't have to be very big. It just has to work. See, this is what I find fun about this whole thing. I love the figuring stuff out. I do not enjoy following instructions. I mean, I will if I have decent instructions, but so much of this is just figuring it out and making what works, improvising. So much of the job, like working as a puppet builder, is figuring stuff out and making it do what the director wants it to do. Okay, so what I basically want something that I can rest those eyes on that won't interfere with this. So I think what it's going to be, I'm just going to make something and see if it works. Okay, so I got my heat gun, I got my glove. Hi, Tilly. Got my dog. Okay, so I'm going to, basically I want a piece that I'm going to cut off the excess, but I think it's going to be about like that. Okay, so I'm just gonna eyeball it right now. But I can true it up when I Hi, Tills. So I don't want to make it too hot. I think the actual one's going to be more boomerang shaped. Hi, Tilly. You're coming at the exact worst time. I feel like that kid in the Trekkies documentary. Okay, so there's one side of it. I'm going to do the same on this side. Now, I don't know for a fact that Gonzo has this in there, but it's like the only way I can wrap my mind around it. Okay, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. I also included mouth plate references. I just sewn over some good reference material for you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'll take what I can get. This is more about the mechanism, getting the mechanism working. If I can get the mechanism working, I'm not too worried about the rest of it. See, this is where I get into problem when I keep trying to fine tune this. Okay, that's probably good enough. All right. Okay, so now I have something that looks like that. Can still work the eyes. It's still hitting right where the one that I had from. I'm thinking that the smaller mouth plate. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay. All right. Let me get these eyes on here. Probably the best way would be to sink a screw in there to do it. But I think right now I'm just going to tape it because I don't want to deal with that. A little divot in this might also be good to attach these eyes to. And I don't expect this to last the way I'm building it. I'll be lucky if I can get one pull out of this thing before it self-destructs, but all right. All right, so I can tell already this one's going to be too short. But if I can get this other one working, I'm just going to bend that little by little. Now the return, from what I understand, is the foam. The foam is actually going to act as a return. You can kind of see how that's going to work. And I realize this is a monstrosity here. Okay, so there's his, that would be his eyelid. We're going to just say that's going to be his eyelid there. So in a perfect world, actually, maybe I can do it on this side. Actually, I have another piece. I'm just kind of making a really down and dirty channel here to put that wire through. Let's see if I can do that now. I've already messed it up. Let's see. Okay, I think I have another idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slit channel here and then just glue it. Hopefully without cutting my hand. Okay. Okay, so what'll I have no idea what I'm doing. Have I mentioned yet that I have no idea what I'm doing here? Okay, so there's his eyelid, sort of. Okay, let me glue this in place. Hope you guys like me making a mess, because that's all this is right now. I'm just going to put a little glue inside this channel I made. To glue it back together. I think I'll put a little glue on this wire too. Okay. And I believe the wire, I believe the glue will melt this ping pong ball.
So I probably won't put any on that.
Okay. Hi, Tilly. Okay, I'm gonna put this on kind of sloppy right now because my plan is to trim it once it's in place. I'll probably put a slit up the inside of the eyelid when I do the final one. For now, this is... Look, those eyes aren't even staying in place now. I'll use white. So help me if I can get one good pull out of this thing. Is that too much to ask? One good pull out of a pair of Gonzo eyes. So that should be here. All right, let's see what this does. I'm sure the real one has this much gaff tape all over it. I'm almost 100% sure. Let's see what this does. Okay, there's the eye. It sort of works. Like I said, it's not stuck down here real well. There's the mouth. And it would be glued down here. How do I want to do it that way? Okay, so it can't be glued down there. But it can be attached here in the center. Okay, maybe it can't be. Maybe it's just joined to the other eyelid there. I think I'm actually making some progress on this, guys. All right, well, I'm going to fine-tune this offline, and tomorrow I'll make prototype 2, but I'm encouraged by at least the beginnings of this thing. You may not be, but I am. Number one, here's some things I got to do. I got to make this bracket small enough to be able to fit inside the nose. inside the head here. So you can kind of see this is where it would fit, and that would go back down into the body, into the foam here, and the nose would come off right here, so that'll work. There's enough room for my hand in here, and I can operate it just with this one finger. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, the fact that there's any progress on this project, I think I've had it sitting in my to-do list for at least 6-8 months now. The fact that there's any progress on it, I feel like I've accomplished something. I'll take a look at the reference that Josiah sent me over and see where I can go from there. Probably the thing that I'm most worried about is this eye mechanism. Everything else, I pretty much know how I'm going to do it. But if I can get that eye mechanism working, that's all that matters to me. I really don't want a replica that can't do anything. So if I can't get that working, I don't think I'll even finish the puppet. And that's the way the guy I'm building it for feels too. But the thing that I do have is I do have the Sherpa fur, and I do have a foam block to carve the nose. I'm going to flat pattern this back part just because this back part here, this is all going to be flat patterned, right? This much of it is. All this will be flat pattern. And then the upper and lower jaw will be carved out of a piece of foam that fits it. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, make a. You said this makes you want to attempt an animal replica. I thought you had made an animal before. Had you not? Oh, so you have plans for a mech? It's all about not knowing how to. I mean, this is pretty simple still. Let me see what we got here. Sorry, I'm just looking at your. Yeah, but does it work? Have you seen this this mech that you have here actually work, or is it just a theory? Because that's the thing, is every one of these mechs I see, I never see one that actually has the eye mechanism that works. All I know is that he always says that he works it with his little finger, which I've been able to do that at least. And I think if I can lock down this mouth plate, I think I'll be in pretty good shape. I kind of think this is what I'm going to do. I think the upper mouth plate is actually going to be shaped. This may not be right. That would go up. I think the mouth plate will be kind of shaped like that. And what will happen is this will be bent up and become that upper support, so it's all one piece. And then this will have little, the top of it will be kind of like this, so that it'll seat those eyes in place. I think, but we'll see. We'll see how ambitious I get. Anyway, I hope you guys found that informative. I'm glad to be back. I have an interview tomorrow, so we'll see if I actually come on tomorrow. But my plan is to. So I will see you tomorrow. All right, have a good night.